Hello, viewers. Hope all of you are doing truly well. As I always keep asking, today is the World Obesity Day, which we are trying to recognize with a great program with a great expert with us today out here. But before that, a little bit about True Wealth Online Health Channel. True Wealth Health Online Health Channel is an initiative of True Wealth Integrative Healthcare, which provides integrative health and personalized nutrition advice to control, prevent, and reverse lifestyle, autoimmune, as well as infectious diseases like digestive diseases, diabetes, obesity, PCOS, infertility, arthritis, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, cancer, and improving recovery from surgery, infections, trauma, and of course, growth in children to help reach the ultimate goal of holistic health and happiness. True Wealth Online Health Channel shares authentic knowledge and wisdom from healthcare and nutrition stalwarts to help you separate science from hype, arising from the social media explosion and the sudden health and nutrition wisdom, and thus can aid you in making the right health and nutrition choices. Obesity. The topic today, of course, is very wisely chosen. Obesity, a public health emergency. WHO, as we all know, has a global estimate that the worldwide obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. Overall, approximately 13% of world's adult population, which is more than 600 million people, were categorized as obese in 2014. Studies have linked obesity to higher risk for health complications like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, depression, respiratory problems, major cancers, and more. To end this epidemic of obesity, it is essential to integrate a medical, surgical, and personalized nutrition approach, which is why we have an eminent expert with us here today. And I would like to take the proud privilege to introduce Dr. Prashant Salvi. Dr. Prashant Salvi practices as a consultant minimal invasive metabolic and bariatric surgeon at the Jupiter Hospital, Thane, and various other centers across Maharashtra. He's an MS in general surgery, FMES MUHS, FALS pediatric, FMPS pediatric and metabolic surgery. He's extensively trained in bariatric and metabolic surgeries at the Asia's highest volume bariatric center, formal university fellowship in minimal access laparoscopic surgeries, and he is, of course, an expert at comprehensive obesity care. Dr. Salvi has a special expertise in comprehensive obesity care. He has an experience of managing more than 2,000 bariatric cases and has played an active role in numerous research projects with specialization, of course, in minimal access and advanced laparoscopy surgeries. He has an expertise in bariatric and metabolic surgeries like sleeve gastrectomy, one anastomus, gastric bypass, intragastric balloon, endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty. He also has a membership with the OSSI, that is the Obesity Surgery Society of India, the Indian Association of Gastrointestinal Endosurgeons, of course, the Indian Medical Association, and also the Surgical Society of Thane. He has published many papers, and 10 of his publications, of course, 8 of them are in the international journals. A recent publication, Banded Sleeve versus MGB or OAGB, was selected as at one of the top 3 publications from India at the Obesity Conference of SICON in 2020. He has many awards to his name, and he's been awarded Best Paper at the OSCON 2019 National Conference, Calcutta. He has a first prize in the Best Video Session at MASICON 2018, as well as many more prizes at the ResCon, MASICON, and more. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Prashant Salvi, and we are very happy to have you on our show here today. Really knowing that what you call a medical public health emergency, we would actually want to know what is your line of treatment with your patients, and what's the emerging role of a surgeon really in obesity, in taking care of obesity.
Talking about the treatment aspect, so there are multiple treatment options available. So when you start treating an obese individual, it eventually starts with the lifestyle modification. Then it is the diet, which is actually playing a very important role, and the medication. So there are a few nutritionists who, like you, in case you also can guide people in the further course of this lecture, that how nutrition would be helping in a patient to lose weight before and after the surgery as well, if an option of surgery has been taken. So the treatment options, again, I say it is the lifestyle modification, the diet aspect, the medications, and if not, then the surgery. So these are all the various treatment options for treating obesity.
Cool. So that's on that. Then these days what is really happening is bariatric surgery, which is again a specialized area, something which is new to all of us, and we are we are not sure how to even understand what it is, because a lot of us have, for us it's a new word. Of course, having been in the field, I am aware about it, but a lot of the viewers here will not have, they wouldn't have heard of this surgery either, and before we are even hearing about it, there are already so many question marks. So if you could throw some light on it, and everyone at times when we say the word surgery, there is this fear around it, as to we have to go for a surgery, and that too just for losing weight, but very few of them understand why that has to be done. So we'd like to know about that from you as well.
So bariatric surgery is a surgical weight loss option for those individuals who have had failure in diet, exercise, medications. In spite of all that, they have not been able to lose weight, and their complications because of obesity are still rising, and they're facing a lot of issues. So the bariatric surgery comes into action in these particular patients. So any patient who have a BMI of greater than 35 is a candidate for bariatric surgery. Also, a patient whose BMI is more than 30 and he has either one or two comorbidities associated because of obesity is also a candidate for bariatric surgery. So now, what is bariatric surgery? See, it is not at all related to liposuction. I really want to make it really sure, because a lot of patient has this anticipation that it is a kind of cosmetic surgery. So no, it is not a cosmetic surgery. We are not sucking out fat from either any part of the body. It is a surgery which we do on the abdomen, on the stomach wall, where we try to divide the stomach, get the excess part of the stomach out, or we do a bypass surgery. So bariatric surgery has many components. There is one component called as a restrictive component, wherein we restrict the amount of food the patient is going to eat. The other component is a malabsorptive component. So either we can do a malabsorptive component, you can do a restrictive component, or you can have a combination of both. So what happens in restriction is when the patient's diet is restricted, the amount of food which is going inside when he eats is little less. So what happens is over this period of years, when he has eaten a lot number of calories more than required for the body, those calories get deposited in the body in the form of fat. So what happens is over a period of time, this deposited fat gets stubborn, more stubborn, and it causes a lot of problems. So when we do a restrictive procedure, the amount of food which is going in is restricted, so the amount of calories which are required for normal daily needs of the patient's individual's body, it's taken up by the deposited fat. So it is taken it from the deposited fat, which is stored for over the period of years, and this is how the patient starts losing weight. In a malabsorption, what happens is the amount of food which is eating, it is not getting absorbed because we add a bypass to the entire surgery aspect. So the restriction is also there, plus the malabsorption component is also acting. So eventually the calories are very low. So the deposited fat starts getting utilized, and this is how the patient starts losing weight. So when these are all the components of a bariatric surgery. So we should understand that restriction is there and a malabsorption is there. So based on these two components, there are various bariatric surgeries designed, and an individual choose, I mean, whatever surgery we advise an individual, it depends on his BMI, his comorbidities, and other factors which are important for one particular surgery to be successful.
That's absolutely great to know that, that sort of makes us understand what the surgery is, and it's only needed in certain cases, and those cases have to be assessed with an expert like you, so that instead of having that fear at the back of our mind, because a lot of times, I mean, I've also seen that in my practice, there are patients who are unable to lose weight. They lose weight, they put on the weight again, and there are so many intrinsic problems out there that and there's what do you call it? It's like a cobweb. It's all together entangled so much that it's very difficult to address it. And that's the time we have to take expert advice and understand if a surgical treatment is needed, or what type of treatment actually is advised in that cases. Uh, so very simple language, you've really made us understand all this. And you have specialized in so many of these different techniques. If you would like to throw some light on what are the how are these made more safer these days, because earlier again there were a lot of myths around these type of surgeries. So I would definitely want you to you yourself know that there are so many myths, and before this surgery could actually help people, there is more fear, and people can't actually though they understand that they need this, they would still not walk up to you. So if you can help clear those different myths that are there in people's minds.
So first and foremost, when I talk to any patient about surgery, first thing they anticipate is there would be a big cut on the abdomen, and it would be an open surgery. So it is not an open surgery. It is a laparoscopic and a robotic in two ways which we can do it. So it is called as a keyhole surgery. So you don't require big cuts on your body, and the recovery is really fast. All my patients, they walk immediately 6 hours after surgery, and they are eating the liquid diet immediately on the second day. Third day, they are having their full liquids, and they are ready to go home. So they either go on the third day, on the fourth day, they are already home. And it's not like that they are supposed to go home and take bed rest, because that's one more myth that, oh, the bariatric surgery, it's a major supra-major surgery, the patient has to have a bed rest. No, it is not like that. The patient has to be moving. And I make it a point that these patients are moving in the hospital 6 hours after surgery, and that walking continues even after the patient goes home, and that has to be maintained. Some patients, when they ask about the surgical aspect, they feel it's a supravajor surgery. Now there will be so much of bleeding inside. You are cutting the stomach, so there will be a lot of bleeding. And how are you going to manage it then? But they should understand that any surgery, let it be an appendix surgery or it be a gallbladder surgery, for that matter, any laparoscopic surgery, it is equally safer as compared to other laparoscopic surgeries, but in trained hands. So training is very important. Like I said, I was trained in a very high volume center and under good mentors. So the training really helps. So when you see a lot of number of cases and you get to do a lot of number of cases, so your hand is nice, your hand is steady, and you see what exactly is to be done, and you act exactly the same way your mentors have taught you. So it really helps. And in trained hands, it is as safe as any gallbladder or an appendix surgery for that matter. Also, when people tell me that I have one friend who has a bariatric surgery, but he is not eating anything. He cannot eat anything. But what I tell them is whatever he eats, that is exactly what is required for that particular individual. We require only 2000 calories in the entire 24 hours, but we are always above that. We are always 4000, 5000 calories in a 24 hours. So what happens is when they see that patient is eating very less, they are really afraid that the patient is not eating at all. So it is not the case. Patient eats exactly what is required for the body, and how much ever calories he is on the diet post the surgery, it is what is required, and it is what is not excess. It is not less also, it is not excess as well. So people should understand that it is not that they are not able to eat anything. It is they are made to eat that much only so that they don't land up having all the complications and the weight they were having before.
Right.
So this is one aspect of thing. Then they will ask me, is it permanent? Like ek baar surgery kar diya, so then they don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
This is very common, and they'll say, ki, okay, and I've seen patients also. So after 6 months or so, when they have around 50% of the excess weight loss, they feel okay, we are all done now. We don't have to worry about the diet. We don't have to worry about the exercise pattern, and they go in a very haywire manner. So it is not like that. The backbone of any bariatric surgery, for that matter, is the lifestyle change. The lifestyle has to be modified. Until and unless the lifestyle is modified, you are not in a scheduled exercise pattern. You are not taking your nutrition seriously. This is not going to be 100% success. A surgeon will do the job, but the result of the surgery, however good the surgeon is, however beautiful the surgery is done, it is as the patient takes it. In a way, if the patient is obliging by the surgical aspect, by the diet and the nutrition, then definitely yes, the patient will have long-term good results and he will never regain weight. So these are a couple of myths when people come and they discuss. They say, okay, my XYZ has been operated and then
Yes.
he's got all the weight back. But they don't realize what the patient is going. He's going and eating all the sweets in the market. He is not taking the nutrition seriously. He's stopped walking.
Yes.
So these are the aspects which need to be actually considered and given more importance.
So a couple of questions, actually important ones to address is that, do you think that this kind of a surgery can help people who have so many comorbidities? We see that so much of weight, people have arthritis. Of course, they have osteoarthritis, but they get so many inflammatory diseases also because of diabetes. Cancer is one which as a surgeon so much more, that is becoming a serious issue. Can this be like a landmark, in really managing obesity and really making people understand that obesity is a very serious disease?
So what you said is very right, because lot many complications are associated, like I always say, and I said just now also, that diabetes, hypertension, cardiac issues, then various cancers, for that matter, prostate, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, these are also associated with obesity. Then for young age females who are in the childbearing age post marriage, it's very difficult for them to conceive because they have a PCOS, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yes.
So because of which pregnancy becomes a big task. They feel that alcohol is the only cause for liver cirrhosis, but no, obesity is one cause, and it is termed also as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So these are all the complications which need to be addressed, and obesity is related to this. It is very important to understand. Now, when we do a surgery, when you do a bariatric surgery, patient who is on insulin or oral hypoglycemic drugs like medicines for diabetes, immediately on the second day of the surgery, the sugar levels become normalizes. So the patient goes home with no medications for sugars, and also if the patient is really high on insulin, he might go home with one or a single OH, a single tablet for diabetes. once the weight starts reducing, the effort on the heart also decreases. So their antihypertensive medicines also decreases. Their chances of having cardiac issue like a heart attack, that also goes down as in when the weight starts reducing. I have seen there are many papers also saying that once the weight is under check, females who are in the reproductive age, their chances of conceiving are also really high. Even that for that matter, grade 2 fatty livers because of obesity, they also get reversed. So there are various positive benefits of bariatric surgery, and the most important is the diabetes. So when people lifelong they keep on taking medications and they reach to a level where they are on 100 or 200 units of insulin. Like one patient of mine, he is on 400 units of insulin,
Yeah.
and still the sugars are not under control. So his diabetologist has advised him, now you need to undergo bariatric surgery. So why I'm stressing on this diabetes aspect is people don't know exactly that obesity can be able obesity after bariatric surgery, sugars can be normalized. They would be helping you to normalize your sugar levels. So this aspect now, this is not known by many. They feel it is only a weight loss surgery and only a cosmetic type of surgery. But the
Yes.
metabolic aspect, right, treating diabetes and hypertension, lowering the cardiac risk and all that, this needs to be addressed and people need to understand. So the importance of bariatric surgery in this way, it is more important.
Also, so you did address the woman aspect, which I was going to actually ask you that are there increasing number of cases? But it's so good to know that infertility, PCOS, these are the most worrisome aspects of a woman's life today. And so many environmental stress and so many aspects are there which add to it. And if this kind of surgery can help them, and despite that they can get pregnant, that's such a happy thing to know.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure we have a lot of women viewers here also. It'll be a happy thing for them to know. But also, so a couple of questions is how much is it important that they come to the right center and the right surgeon?
See, uh, by saying the right surgeon, I don't want to boast myself so much, but uh, but it's always
No,
important.
but I know you will not say it because, but that's an aspect I want to bring out because it's very important to know actually.
No, it is what most important is the training aspect.
Yes.
The person has to have an adequate training in whatever he's trying to do. Suppose in a bariatric center, you need to actually train yourselves quite well. So you need to understand what is obesity, what how obesity is getting treated, and how there are various metabolic changes happening. So training is very important. So as per me, what if you ask me how important surgeon is to choose, is how much training the surgeon has taken. That is one aspect to it. And it is not only a surgeon's job, it is a team effort. So, what I say always, it is not only the surgeon who's doing a bariatric surgery, it is the team, it is the anesthetist, it is the pulmonologist, it is the cardiologist, it is the bariatric manager, the nutritionist, because surgery is one aspect. Once you do the surgery, you are done. The later part is taken care by the nutritionist. The importance of nutritionist cannot be underestimated here, because once you do the surgery, patient goes home and don't follow the diet and the nutrition, then they are bound to have
Yeah.
weight gain. So it's
Yeah.
a team effort. So bariatric surgery is not a single man's job. I like to stress on this factor that it is a team effort, and an entire team has to play a very important role. And each and every individual of the team has a very important role to play for the success of any bariatric program, or for that matter, any patient's weight loss program as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are high risk patients coming out here to you as well. So, it really makes, as you mentioned, the pulmonologist, the intensive care, and the anesthetist, it's extremely important to manage these patients well. So, viewers really have to understand that it's not just a surgery which, you're just going into because the surgery has to be done because someone has told to do a
Correct.
surgery. It's a lot serious surgery that has to be understood well. And I think we have really drawn out such great points why, in first and foremost, understanding that obesity is an underlying cause for so many diseases. and people really have to understand that. And so in that case, when does really, you mentioned a team approach as well, when does a patient really come to you? What stage does he come to you? When he is not able to control his weight, he's maybe not so overweight, or is it some kgs that he's gone up to, and then he needs to come to you?
No, the being a surgeon, when I see the patient in the OPD, they have actually tried everything. They have tried the diet, they have tried exercise, and when it is not possible to lose weight, then they come to me. But I have also seen patients who are aware that they are on the obese side, they are in class 1 or class 2 obesity, and they want some expert advice. So those patients also come to me. So not all patients I tell surgery for. So until unless it is indicated,
Yes.
it is always going to be a problem. If you do not do indicated surgeries, then definitely there will be problems. So what I do is, if I see a patient and if the patient is class 1 or is overweight, then I always guide them to the nutritionist. So the dietitian, the nutritionist, they actually come into the role then to lose that little excess weight they have, uh, and they help in losing weight by doing exercise as well as following up with the nutritionist. So the nutritionist plays a very important role. And like I said, when the patients, other patients who are super obese category, or they are in the criteria of more than 35 without comorbidities, or more than 30 with either two comorbidities, so I always advise them surgery, because I don't want them to land up having complications because of obesity, and then I say, oh, now you require surgery. Not like that. So if the patient is indicated, then definitely surgery. If not indicated, then the diet and the nutrition takes a very important aspect. And also, people should really understand that it is not just the surgical aspect. They should take care even after surgery. I keep a close follow for all my patients when I operate. I call them at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and yearly follow up. So on the follow up, I get some investigations done to see how nutritionally they are deficient. Because if you do a malabsorptive procedure, then the deficiencies are really high. So the complications also needs to be understand, because if you do a bypass procedure and the patient is not turned up for follow-up, then definitely he's going to land up having a lot of nutritional deficiencies. So that aspect everybody needs to understand, and based on that only the follow-up is being planned. Like for you, you must be seeing some patients who are nutritionally deprived, and also probably in your case, you must be seeing patients who are preoperatively not requiring but cannot undergo surgery. They have some fear of surgery. So what you would advise them nutritionally?
Well, my understanding, of course, like you rightly pointed out, that it needs an integrative approach, which I totally believe in. But there are patients, and we can't really judge if they're 100 plus in kgs or if they're less than that. But there are some patients who, they you try everything. Uh, the underlying inflammation, I always try to bring the focus to. It's very difficult for people to lose weight, but if we really address the aspects of nutrition in a more deeper way, instead of just doing balanced meals and making them cut down on carbohydrates, at times, this is the underlying inflammation that needs to be addressed in a completely different way. But women, we see hormones, and they have gone through so many ups and downs in their life, and also we've been carrying out so many PCOD sessions, and we realize that this is hereditary. It's something not even that woman's fault, but probably what she got through her genes as well. So there are so many aspects that make it thyroid post pregnancy is so difficult to address. It becomes extremely difficult for people to get onto a treadmill and start running, and it's no more a input and output thing only. So I think that's where nutrition counts. And a few insights, and I'm going to request you, after having today's conversation, we probably need to educate people more when it comes to the specific aspects of a lot of given more nutritional information as to how to do it. But generally, my advice is exactly that, that people have to understand that though they are going through a surgery, like you said, that you can't, it's not that you've done your surgery and you can just go and do
Correct.
eat anything.
Right.
Pre surgery also, you have to start getting onto a regimen where I think proteins is something we're tired of telling people that you're deprived of. But at the same time, today, having seen the nutraceutical segment so much, people rampantly are going on to proteins. They feel they can grab something which is tasty, and it comes from some different country, and so it's going to be the best for them. People have to be aware that what are the amino acids those proteins are giving them, and always, if you're eating high proteins, you have to make sure that they get digested well and assimilated well. So that's, I think, more critical, which is an aspect which gets missed out. And then a lot of people ask me if I tell them to take proteins and enzymes. They said if we eat enzymes, we'll get probably more obese. And I keep telling that you digest and assimilate what you eat. You first start eating right. So those aspects, and I think post surgically, people, just as you experience those vitamin and mineral deficiencies, is extremely important. And people have to understand that it's not a one shot thing where you've taken an injectable, or you injectable is still okay, but if you keep taking high doses of vitamins and minerals for a long period, it's not a good idea. So I think bariatric patients have to be more regular about taking the vitamins and minerals instead of taking very therapeutically high doses, because then the issues like kidney stones and so many gallstones, there's so many aspects that come up later. So a continuous hydration with I keep recommending these vitamin, mineral, and electrolytes together, so that helps them keep hydrated. Get a good protein supplement. Do not just go for anything because it's it shows that is high number of proteins. Make sure you have to take vitamins with it, so that the uptake of those proteins, and with the enzymes as well, so the uptake is proper. It's very important in the bariatric patients, because the gastrointestinal tract is still getting back to normal, and it's adjusted, so it's not going to be just as it was earlier. So people have to understand that these aspects, I feel, are most important. And I'm sure the maldigestion and malabsorption should be a focus, and people have to learn that it's a different methodology. They have to start learning to, I keep talking about intuitive eating, and which people recognize today as mindful eating, but start focusing on your eating instead of just grabbing something and eating. And various aspects, I think, I'm sure in our series of sessions we will try to address those specifics, but these are a few inputs I would say I can put through right now to people. And another thing I think Indians, or rather, our next generation is not focusing on is fiber. And that, it really puts, that's where the weight increase really happens. And you have to manage those also. After a bariatric surgery is done, you can't just eat any fiber. And how do you eat a fiber well is another task that, that's where I stress on that, you have to work with the doctor and the nutritionist together. And you have to have a integrated approach towards it, and a personalized approach towards every patient. And that's how they can lose better even after the surgery and manage it, stay there. I think a lot of patients, and I want to put a couple of questions to you, because I have patients who come to me, and once they are done with the surgery, they start getting goosebumps, saying, "I've gone through this, but now I'm still again increasing my weight." You've already explained that you do the continuous follow up with them, and how I think I want you to stress on that again, because that's something which is
correct. What happens?
Which I think brings is sending a wrong message out later, because that's what people do not focus on, and then people say that the surgery failed, which is so not right to say.
No, I mean, I would like to stress on one particular factor that, see, you go to a diabetologist, or maybe probably some patient is on a diabetes medicine, and after 6 months or so, the medicine is not working. So there is a prescription, different set of medications are given to the patient to control the diabetes. That is never called as failure to a surgery. Correct. Failure to the medication. That is always termed as, okay, now the new set of medications will start acting. But that is never called as a failure. But when a patient comes with weight regain, that is always a failure of the surgery. See, it's a two-way sword. Now, it is also very important to understand like in an indicated surgery on which patient, what kind of surgery is to be done. Like for that matter, if the patient has undergone a surgery and the patient is very reluctant to follow the nutritional aspect, post the surgery, the patient is not following the diet and the nutrition and is not even exercising well. Plus, he started having sweets and everything. So, who's responsible? The surgeon is not responsible. Neither the surgery is a failure. The patient himself is not motivated enough to maintain the weight loss. So these are these aspects which are requiring mention here, because one patient who has a weight regain can tell 10 different patients, oh, that surgery is not good. After that surgery, I have lost around 50 kgs and I've gained around 70 kgs again.
Yes.
But did he follow the nutrition aspect? Did he follow the diet and the exercise after surgery? Has the lifestyle changed? So any bariatric surgery to work, the lifestyle has to be actually changed. This is the backbone of the bariatric success, and the nutrition and the exercise and the diet. It cannot be stressed upon more.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, you did say exercise. Fitness is something which people just, they have to realize that post surgery they have the biggest advantage, that now they can actually, if they start dropping weight, that's the time they should get onto a fitness regimen. And fitness is not an alternative to nutrition. Nutrition is not an alternative to fitness. So it is 70% nutrition and 30% fitness, but it's not either or. They both have to go together, and that's when a surgical aspect with these two together can really help them gain
To achieve the success.
their final goal, really. And
Correct.
and that can keep them fit forever in their life, because it's a difficult path after the surgery. But if all this is followed, they are going to be able to lead a very normal life. And that's it was such an incredible discussion we had. One of our participants is already did say that a good discussion out here, but I'm going to try to throw it open to the participants here, and if they have any questions, I'm just going to try to get all of them into the session. And but all in all, it was a great discussion already with you and Dr. Savi. We would of course want you to address more sessions with us where we can get to more specifics, and that way we can address this issue better. I'm going to request the participants to put their videos on and unmute themselves if they want to ask any questions or also want to make any comments here. I can see Dr. Ramchandran is also here. Yes.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Dr. Sudhir Kothari is here.
Fine. Yes. You are doing very well. I have seen last time also you had done a patient with a tremendous amount of obesity. You did surgery, and I saw that video also.
Thank you.
Doing extremely good, and discussion with Gadgiri also good, because I think surgery is important, no doubt, but nutrition is also very important. All this thing.
Very true, sir.
That
very
will
true.
Definitely helps a lot.
Right, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. That's very encouraging.
Because so many patients I have seen you do bariatric surgery. You do bariatric surgery. I have seen people have again developed the same patient.
Correct.
The weight previous.
Correct.
Okay, I think we did drop off, but yeah.
But it was a nice input from Dr. Sudhir Kothari, sir. It was nice.
I tell you this. Again, lead to increase in weight. All these things. At least I think 5 or 6 patients like this.
Correct, sir.
Yes, and then again you have to redo surgery. Again, if you have done the sleeve gastrectomy, then again you have to do more and more like that one. So I think diet is also very, very important in this one. And the role of nutrition is, I think, equally important as we surgeons. That is the most important.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
I'm doing very well. I'm very happy and all these things. And you have just pointed out how nutrition is also important, because people are forgetting that one, nutrition. Think that surgery is done, that means they will reduce weight, they will not again gain weight. It's not possible, all these things. And if you reduce more and more stomach, then they will get a lot of problem with nutrition also.
Exactly,
so
exactly, sir.
You have to be in between like this. So they should have nice, sufficient amount of stomach, which is required, at the same time, good nutrition.
Correct.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very encouraging to hear from your when it is coming from your seniors and
Correct.
doctors who understand all these issues much.
I would like to say Dr. Sudhir Kothari, sir was my mentor during my MS days. He is my
Wow,
teacher. So
wow,
it was my pleasure getting
great.
notified from him. I mean, really touching and happy for that.
Well, I think that also instills more confidence in the people who are watching us that, how important it is to understand when this surgery is needed. And then, like I said, though I know you're shying away from it, but, that you need expert hands and also a good center where you can really get the pre and the post advice and also a post surgical, management, which Dr. Salvi, you have been actively doing. We have been hearing a lot of good things about you from, of course, Dr. Thapar is also working with you, and she's also spoken a lot high about you. And of course, recently you published also a paper. That's great work that you are conducting, and we always we'll keep wishing you good luck towards this. And I'm sure you will bring about more and more aspects which will make things safer and more doable for patients who are suffering from obesity. And these people are really also depressed. Body shaming is something which we always keep talking about these days, but you are doing a noble work actually helping these people out of their disease, which is a very difficult disease. And today on this obesity day, it's a pleasure that we have had you on it and to understand
Pleasure
all
was
the
mine. Pleasure
intricacies.
was mine.
Sure. I would end today's session with a promise that we will have you on a show again, and we will try. If you have time, we will try to have a series on obesity, trying to understand this disease
Definitely.
better as well.
Definitely.
I'd like to end the show with a small promo actually from the RSG Energia team. They keep relentlessly actually helping us doing the back end work, trying to
Okay.
send a lot of our flyers so that people come to know that this session is happening and people can take advantage of it. So I'm just going to play their promo in the end. And viewers, hope you had a great time, and thanks for always coming. And we have had lakhs and lakhs of viewers, and it's such a privilege that they have been watching all our authentic education that we are giving out. And we had one more speaker of this sort today with us, Dr. Prashant Salvi. And so whenever we have anything in obesity and bariatric, I'm sure we have to think about him to get an opinion from him. We end this show today. Thank you, Dr. Salvi, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. It was my pleasure, and I really like to thank you because today being World Obesity Day means a lot to me, and I need to make it very crystal clear to people out there that obesity is an emergency and it needs to be addressed properly. Thank you.
Thank you.